We'll share the mic. Bill Lavender is, among many other things, the co-founder of the New Orleans Poetry Festival. Bill, what's the New Orleans Poetry Festival?
Oh, it's the New Orleans Poetry Festival. It's a thing that Megan Burns and I do in every April now for 4 years running. And so far it's been at the Healing Center on St. Claude down the street. It's pretty fun. About 150 poets came this year from all over the place. All over the U.S. and also South America. We have an international night where we have basically bilingual readings, readings and translations. We had Brazilian poets and Russian poets this year. Yeah, it's a pretty fun thing. Check it out. It's nolapoetry.com. And it's a fun time.
Bill is a poet, novelist, musician, carpenter, and publisher living in New Orleans. He is the author of 12 published books and 2 other forthcoming as of spring 2019. Where are we now?
They're still forthcoming. They're forthcoming in about the turn of the year. Both of them at once are close.
His groundbreaking verse memoir, Memory Wing, was published by Black Widow in 2011. A chapbook, Surrealism, was published in 2016 and translated into Spanish. A French edition is forthcoming. Is a French edition out yet?
No, it's not. It's also still forthcoming.
My ID, his 11th book of poetry, is due from Blazebox in March 2020. Okay, is that out yet?
No, that's due out in March 2020.
All right, sorry, I misread that.
I updated that bio pretty recently.
All right, his novel Q, a neo-picaresque view of the surreal world of the future, was published by Trembling Pillow in 2013, and you've got a sequel to that.
Well, actually, it's a series of, there's Q, and then there's little A, and the third one is The Private Eye. And Spike Dybel is going to publish the whole trilogy in one massive volume this coming spring.
Let's see, you found Lavender Ink. Well, tell us about Lavender Ink.
So Lavender Ink, I started as a press. At first I was just doing chapbooks of my friends, and I don't know, I kind of got into it and started getting a little more ambitious, doing perfect bound books and things like that, and then I kind of got into doing translations, books of literature and translation, and I found that to be a very interesting project. A lot of really, really great work started coming to me, and started getting some support from around the world, and so now the books I publish are about half in English and half in bilingual or translated work, published work from all over Europe, Eastern Europe, North Africa. A lot of Francophone work from North Africa is really the most amazing work being produced in the world right now, I think. Some South American South American poetry from Brazil, Ecuador, Uruguay, Argentina, and we're doing this huge project now. It's a novel called The Novel of London by Milos Wisniewski, who's Serbian, and it's a 1,000-page epic work of post-World War II Europe. Really an amazing thing. It's about to kill me, actually, but it's a great project that's coming together. That's forthcoming too, about the turn of the year. A lot of other work, plus, local New Orleans poets also. We have about 120 books in print now. I was doing about 20 books a year for a while, but I've slowed down now to maybe 10.
How long did it take to do the 120?
It's hard to say. I guess, when did I get fired?
2012.
2012. At that point, I had probably 30 or 40 books in print, so they came pretty fast after that. And it's doing pretty good, it's distributed by small press distribution. It's not making money, of course, but
Forthcoming.
that's surely that's forthcoming too.
All right, so I'll let you read.
Okay. This book is different from other books that I've done because most of my other books were conceived completely as a book project before I started. This one wasn't. This is a collection of sort of oddments that once I started collecting them, I started seeing a kind of structure to it. And it deals with the problem or the question of identity and crackpot theories about identity in the modern age, the contemporary age, let's say. So I'm going to read this first poem, which is it's called My ID. It's like the title poem. And it's kind of an ode to my Social Security card, which I still have my original one. So here it is, my ID. 1965, I'm 14 at Evelyn Hills Shopping Center Social Security office, where my mother brought me to get my first card, and next door a wallet to put it in. Immigrating to that imaginary nation, not yet adult, but a little closer to that instilled fantasy of myself, just so I could wash dishes after school at the Mountain Inn Motor Lodge, where I also took the garbage out and emptied the rat traps when they snapped. Incredulous when the little punk my brother's age in a cheap clip-on tie fired me, but I got my learner's permit the same year, wallet in my pocket on the Honda 50, then diplomas, report cards, full-blown driver's license, first shoplifting bust, then the checkbook, university ID, punch card registration, first friends off to Vietnam, Leroy enlisting and reappearing immediately in a wheelchair, Me Lai, going to class barefoot, first acid trip, carpenter jobs, car note, my father co-signed, weekend hops to Little Rock, first actual sex, third or fourth love, speeding tickets I threw in the trash, draft card, first mugshot for a DWI, first friend with a real camera, first Super 8 art film, first poem published, first magazine edited, first degree, first change of address, name and phone book, first detention at a border, Canadian, first marriage license, first photo album that yellowed and split, first apartment with a lease, first agreement to buy or sell, first computer, it was an Apple IIc, title transfer, photo registration, income reporting dilemmas, learning to smile for the camera, making funny faces for friends, guts to take sexy photo roll to drugstore, mortgage application, act of sale, mastering the art of buying high and selling low, occupational license, utility bills, record search of mortgages and conveyances, construction contracts, bigger than pocket-sized checkbook, car title 6, house title 3, son 1, son 2, taking them to the Social Security office, first book published, university gig, replacement birth certificate, life insurance, family plan, IRA started, rifled, started again, suspicious income fluctuations, second photo album that yellowed and split, first fear of audit that never materialized, bad debt, secret sex, separation of property, first divorce, Photoshop, ATMs, first iMac, the beginning of iEverything, passport, traveler's checks, MasterCard and Visa, permission to enter, end of the phone book, second marriage license, houses 6, 7, 8, inheritance, first, last will and testament, liquidation of parents' assets, retiring 2 hours before termination of the university gig, transfer of Roth to regular, education account for first granddaughter, education account for second granddaughter, first smartphone with a decent camera, veterinary practice taken over by the old vet's daughter, my sister's cremation and interment, singing tenor to my brother's melody of When the Roll is Called Up Yonder, graveside in the freezing cold, changing her name on the headstone, transfer of titles to the remaining plots in the old cemetery, checking donor on driver's license, first reading of Medicare rules, first Viagra, even pot getting legalized, 50 years in that frayed, faded, yellowed card with the blue logo still in the wallet on my desk for inspection as I type. A handsome artifact in a nostalgic 60s kind of way, a pair of Corinthian columns on either side, the words Social Security arching over in blue, and in red the sacred number, eagle in the keystone, beneath it the caduceus, snake climbing the torch, my name typed on the line below, and below that the signature of Bill Lavender. So I'll just read this other nutty thing. This will be an eclectic reading. It's kind of like paper made out of bagasse and plastic. Like that. So one of the many weird threads I get into in this book is the history of photography. It occurred to me that the history of photography and the history of identity are kind of inextricably linked. That really, the modern notion of identity is like, tied to the photograph in so many ways, both legal, social, however. So this is a little piece about the history of photography. You may not know this, but one of the first commercial uses of the daguerreotype, like the original photographic method, was to photograph the dead. There were a couple of reasons for that, and which I talk about in here. But so this is just a little short piece on that. It's called First Subjects. They were dressed in formal wear, propped and sewn into chairs, their visages burned on the plates of silver-plated copper or glass. These complacent customers were the first commercially viable tenants of the new technique, daguerreotype, and budding entrepreneurs rushed to meet the demand. Carefully groomed and dressed in the latest fashion, they were ideal subjects for the early experiments, holding their poses faithfully and not troubling the artist, engrossed in the temperamental mechanism by fidgeting. They are the outliers of history, He's dead, ghosted darkly onto glass, captured at their precise moment of disappearance, engraved onto eternity in a way no one before them could boast. Before the chemistry advanced to allow for manageable exposure times, vital subjects too were tied to posts and chairs, T-shaped rods run up the spine and along the shoulders, beneath jackets and evening gowns, crucifying the bourgeois with interminable sittings, even breathing prohibited. Okay, and now I'm going to read this Grand Isle piece that I selected because after looking at Hannah's work. So you probably know Grand Isle, the island down south, the southernmost point of Louisiana, I think it is. So it's called Grand Isle because there used to be two islands. There was the Cheniere Caminada, which was blown away by a big storm in, when was that? Turn of the century. It's kind of commemorated in Cheetah, yeah. So that's, and so where Cheniere Caminada was now, it's the Caminada Pass. That's like the flow through around the end of the island where the salt water kind of comes into the wetlands there. I'm saying this stuff because I'm not going to stop once I get started, I don't think. In Grand Isle, it's like I've been to Grand Isle many times, fishing. Okay, that's what we do, is we go fishing and surf in Grand Isle. We really get fishing here. Okay, Grand Isle. All along Caminada Pass now, the riprap is unbroken, stone wall between the unrelenting waves of the western Gulf and the delicate southwest point of the island. The cheniere that rooted in the ground on this end was swept away by Katrina. The cheniere is a YTA, you're going to stop. The cheniere is a grove of trees that has taken hold of like an alluvial deposit, like a washed up island, and thus the island begins to accumulate actual soil or actually it's used often just to refer to like a grove of trees on an island. Okay. The word comes up a couple of times, so you probably heard that. All along Caminada Pass now, the riprap is unbroken. Stone wall between the unrelenting waves of the western Gulf and the delicate southwest point of the island. The cheniere that rooted the ground on this end was swept away by Katrina, leaving a small acre of sea oats now being trampled by backhoes and dump trucks. They have covered the beach with rubber for a good way there and laid out great canvas socks of sand to reinforce the bank. Time will tell how these high-tech measures work, but the lee corner between the end of the jetty and the beginning of the beach still seems to attract bottom feeders, redfish and drum, and of course hardheads. And we meet a guy who says that the day before he caught more than 100 specks right up on the beach in 2 feet of water, pulled one in on every cast. If he had been keeping them, he would have limited out 3 or 4 times at least. Ben and I catch nothing but a couple of hardheads and 6 undersized redfish, so we head back to join the others who have decided to take in the 89th annual Grand Isle Tarpon Rodeo at the pavilion down on the east end by the Coast Guard station and State Park. But we are too late to catch the festivities, and meet them on the road. We pull into the new Wakeland and watch teenage boys scoot back and forth on the waterboard, pulled by a cable controlled by another teenage boy with a joystick. Roxy wants to do it, and we have to explain she's too young and needs to know how to swim better before she can try anything like that. She keeps climbing down the pier wall and making the grown-ups nervous. She knocks my Bud Light into the water and has to retrieve the can, so I hold her by her feet and lower her down. She screams at first about her dress hanging down over her head, the first time I've heard her worry about such a thing, and I know she's awakening to the adult world. The adults are a little loopy from rodeo daiquiris, and now that we are confirmed fishless, the question of supper arises, so we rearrange seating in the two cars, and Beth and Roxy arrive with me and Ben down to the Shore Way to buy some fish to grill. The rodeo's winding down for the day, and the frat boys in their muscle trucks are promenading down Highway 1, subwoofers thudding and bikini party girls dancing in back. And we slow to a crawl as we pass party after party with rap music or heavy metal blaring. When we finally make it to the Shore Way, they have no fish, and we remark the great irony that we have just come from the way station at the rodeo, where we've seen a 9-foot marlin, a grouper that could have swallowed Roxy whole, some 50-pound reds, and dozens of other huge fish all laid out on ice, yet we can't find a piece of fish to buy on the entire island, the closest thing being frozen fish sticks, which look suspiciously like McDonald's, which I hear buys all the marlin anyway. How long before this island, the Big Island, dissolves back into the sea like the Cheniere coming at it? Islands, like people, are of finite duration, especially these alluvial mounds of pure sand, accretions of humus and glass dropped by the river, built up by the waves, and finally pulled down by the same waves. One would need to be as mobile as a bird to nest on one, as I suppose we are. These extravagant camps, periodically reduced to piles of sticks by storms, while their owners worry back in New Orleans or Baton Rouge or Lafayette. And old bare pilings stand around Caminada Bay like remnants of Spanish language in the Argot. Playground for the rich ever since they cut the canal, boat service opened, home of second homes for French Quarter traders, where wives and children might summer, and then the big shot of oil money mid-20th century that brought the entire matrix of rigs and refineries and canals, dredging the passes to keep the equipment moving, filling the east end of the island with the Apache Get-B GOM shelf facility parking lot, an acre of pickups baking in the sun, right next door to the state park lagoon, where we kayak after the kids leave. The stagnant, tepid lake is aboil with ostensible redfish, but whatever they actually are, they do not bite anything we throw out. Their implied, though always denied, promise keeps us there past the time when we should be out of the sun, and our legs, unaccustomed to being laid out horizontal in a broiler, blister. Insatiate the next morning, I go down into the surf early, wade 50 yards out to the sandbar, and stand knee-deep throwing a gold spoon. The day is slightly overcast, and the sunrise stunning. Porpoises breach in the light chop, and mullets swarm on the surface. An hour yields me 2 keeper specks, enough for supper at least, and I wade in absently with my stringer. The surf is frothing just at shoreline, and I see within it a 5-foot tiger shark, the dorsal and tail and even the bare back well visible over the 6-inch deep foam, and close enough I could easily tap him with my pole. I freeze and watch him calmly pass, first shark I've seen on the beach, and then from the safety of the sand, watch him make his round westward down the beach, always hiding in the froth, then out into the channel and back east, dorsal breaking surface now and then, making a dotted line of his progress. By Monday evening, every trace of the rodeo is gone and the camps on either side of us are empty. Beer consumption, mine, begins at 10 a.m. and at 2 I fall into a 3-hour nap. Sunset, walking the dog on the beach, falling asleep during the movie on AMC. At 3:30 I wake up and feel my way through the darkened house to pee, then go to the kitchen for a bottle of water and drink it down. Then I go back to bed and lay there thinking about a former friend, as it seems our relationship is quite irremediable now. I remember teaching one summer in Madrid. We were talking about dreams, and one of the students, Summer was her name, told a dream in which an ex-friend comes to see her. And my comment was, what is an ex-friend? We go out in the evening, Nance having scoffed at my fear of the shark. And from the sandbar, hook a couple which get away. One's a Spanish mackerel which jumps insanely when hooked, leaving 6 feet out of the water, flipping himself off the hook before I can get a net under him. We plot an early morning return to the lagoon with the kayaks. I'm mad at her because she came out without her shirt, and no amount of sunscreen will protect you completely. It's 6 o'clock, she says, and I ask what difference that makes since the sun is still high in the sky. We hear a splash and look to our right just in time to see the shark thrashing with something on the surface 50 feet away. I'm going in, I say. She follows. We packed the kayaks on the truck that evening so we could just get up and go and eat breakfast later. No need to set an alarm, of course. I wake up at 5 and we are launching the kayaks by 6. The redfish still cut the water all around and still refuse to bite anything we show them. I roll around, trolling with my spoon, try bait, living and dead, the sparkle beetle, nothing. Finally, all the way at the end, where a short rock jetty separates the lagoon from Barataria Pass, something bites my spoon and I land it. It's not a fish I've ever seen before. Perch-shaped but meatier, small mouth. It looks suspiciously like a bass, except for an overall reddish tint. The eyes are wild, yellowish red around the pupils. I keep it, even though I don't know what it is, and then catch 2 more. I get out and walk the rocks like the proverbial cow fishing the Gulf side. I get hung in the rocks and lose 1 rig, 2. I land 1 speck, and then, to my great surprise, on a spoon, a nice little flounder. Thanks.
Tell us a little bit more about the Serbian writer. What else to find out?
About Crnjanski.
What's the name one more time?
It's Crnjanski, Crnjanski, and he was a Serbian in World War II. It roamed around Europe, caught up in various shenanigans, and ended up in London after the war, where he wrote this novel. The narrator of the novel is a Russian who was raised in Tsarist Russian, raised in royalty, and
What's their name?
huh?
What's the name of the narrator?
Repnin, Nikolai Repnin. And so he's born as royalty and raised in utter opulence. Now in London, he's reduced to being on the dole and contemplating suicide so his wife can survive, and things like that. But it's this incredible portrait of post-war London, for one thing, searing portrait of the English. It's hilarious and brutal, but also like through his reminiscences and also his dealings with all the other expatriates in London at the time, you get this picture of this pan-European portrait of Europe, during the era of the World Wars and directly after. That's pretty incredible. It's kind of like a Serbian Ulysses or something, I guess. Or
So we can
so
look
not
forward
that
to getting it.
Huh?
We can look forward to getting it.
Yeah, about should be out. Actually, it's going to launch at the London Book Festival next March. That's the goal we set ourselves. And then it'll be available. If you go to lavenderinc.org, you can get all kinds of cool books. And I get so excited when someone buys one.
Perhaps I get excited just thinking about you excited. So.
Yeah.
I just want to say that we're looking for another house. I don't know how many this would be for you now in your IP home, but we were looking for a house. We ended up buying one in Bay St. Louis, but while I was looking, the houses in Grand Isle are dirt cheap because it's going away. But there are houses that were $200,000, 10 years ago, or $20,000, $30,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cheap. They're cheap. They're really cheap.
And they're also uninsurable.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you can't
So
get
anybody
from
who owns a
them,
house down there just.
so you have to get a boat to get to the house. I mean, but it's really sad. It was when I first went to Grand Isle, it was like land almost. Like what you showed the boot.